In the dust of the morning, in the mist of the dawn, you keep your eyes on the horizon, see the majesty before it's gone. In the splendor of the wild, in the wonder of it all, you keep your eyes on the horizon and find something beautiful. Too many lost by human greed, too many lost senselessly. You say there's a way to change it, you say there's a ways to go, but you say it's up to us all. You say kids can't save animals. Let's go. Kids can't save animals. Each day countless are dying, every hour there's one less more. So you keep your eyes on the horizon, cause you know what you're fighting for. Yeah. You say there's a way to change it, you say there's a ways to go, but you say it's up to us all. You say kids can't save animals. Let's go. Kids can't save animals. It's hard to breathe.
Every 15 minutes, an elephant is killed for its tusks.
When you start to
There are only 2 northern white rhinos left on the planet.
About these innocent beings.
Animals can't speak for themselves, but we can be their voice.
Now they're almost extinct.
Kids can save animals.
There's a way we can change it. You say there's a ways to go, but you say it's up to us all. You say kids can save animals. You say there's a way to change it. You say there's a way to go. Just say it's up to us all. Kids can save animals. Kids can save animals. Kids can save animals.
Advocacy has no age limit.
Welcome, everyone. Eric, I think you were going to kick us off this evening.
Yes, giving people a chance to start coming in.
Wonderful.
As you're arriving, please share with us in the chat box where you're coming from, if you've been here before, and something that inspires you. It's pretty warm here in Texas. I hear it's pretty warm in Canada these days too. Something's going wrong with this planet.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why we're here, right?
Yes, we are here. And as the song that was playing as everyone came in said, kids can save animals, and saving animals means saving the planet as well.
Should I be hiding non-video participants? Is that a thing? Or is it does it automatically?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Oh, we have someone first time attending from Northern Illinois. Thank you for joining us.
Excellent. New York City. I am from New York City, though I live here in Texas. Always a New Yorker. Excellent. San Francisco. Dallas. Los Gatos. Arizona. Chicago. It's good. We got the coasts. We got the middle. Up and down.
We do.
Well, great. While you guys keep cycling in and sharing with us where you're, Cape Cod. All right. And so I'll tell you a little bit about me. I'm Eric Bear, and I'll be your host for the evening. I'm an actor and an entrepreneur. I founded a company called MONKEYmedia in 1994, so a couple years ago, and which is hosted at monkey.com, which is kind of an invention R&D studio for new media experiences. But at this point in my career, I'm focused primarily on self-expression and the performing arts. And we'll get a chance to see a little teaser of an interview with Virginia McKenna at some point during tonight, where I might look a little bit different. So, Angela, you wanna give the good people a little background on yourself and kind of take us in?
Absolutely. Thank you, Eric, and thank you for being our host tonight. And I want to thank everyone who has joined us for being here to support Born Free USA. Our vision is a future in which humans no longer exploit wild animals. And we believe that all animals, whether living in captivity or in the wild, should be treated with compassion and respect. You're going to hear a lot about those themes in tonight's event. We were founded by Virginia McKenna, Bill Travers, and their son, Will Travers, on the fundamental belief that wild animals belong in the wild. And it's no coincidence that our name shares that of the iconic film Born Free from the 1960s, starring Virginia McKenna and Bill Travers. And that film told the real life story of Elsa, an orphaned lioness who was rehabilitated and returned to the wild. We're working to end cruel practices such as fur farming, the use of animals for human amusement, and the keeping of wildlife as pets. The pet trade in primates is one of the driving forces that makes a sanctuary such as ours necessary. But until the monkeys are no longer exploited in the pet trade, in labs, and in public attractions, we will be here at our sanctuary to care for them and give them the best possible second chance for a lovely life. And that's why we're all here tonight, to raise money for these precious innocent monkeys and to perhaps encourage you to make a gift to the monkeys tonight. We have some really fantastic incentives. First of all, we have for a $100 gift, we have a signed Let's Go on Safari by Kate Gilman Williams, along with a plush toy combo. Kate is on our panel tonight. She'll be talking to you a little bit later about the wonderful activism she is doing to encourage children and young people to be involved in animal welfare and to help save animals. At the $250 gift level, you have your choice of one of these digital images framed by Dr. Liz TYSON, the Sanctuary and Programs Director for Born Free USA. At the $500 level, you will get a special edition, larger than the two that you just saw, of a framed digital portrait of Kiki. You're going to hear more about Kiki later on from Liz. She is a vervet monkey that recently joined our sanctuary, who was kept as a pet for the first 5 years of her life. So you'll hear her story and get an update on how she's doing today. At the $1,000 level, we have these amazing photo prints by FAIZEL ISMAIL. They are 24 by 16, printed on rich color on a premium canvas, and are stretched on a wood frame. FAIZEL is also joining us tonight to talk more about the work that he is doing. And finally, for a very generous person, or maybe two, we are offering a private tour of the sanctuary for two people that includes round trip airfare and one-night hotel, and that is at the $5,000 level. In that case, you would get to see the monkeys that we'll be talking about all night up close and personal. Well, not too close, I promise. We must safety first, and hear their stories, meet the staff, and be able to see them in their homes and how we care for them. So to make a gift, you can do that at any time throughout the evening or even after. You can text BFUSA, as in Born Free USA. That's BFUSA to 44231 at any time throughout the evening or after, or you can go online to bornfreeusa.org/gala, Gala. We have a wonderful lineup of guests who are going to share their stories with you tonight. I really hope that you're inspired to be as generous as you can be. Your gift is going to buy food, medical supplies, all the things we need to help maintain the monkeys' home, but it's really so much more than that. It's peace. That's what you're giving. You're giving a second chance to these animals to have a life free from exploitation and cruelty. And I thank you for everyone gifts large or small. We appreciate all of your support. And thank you, Eric. I'd like to, you've come back, and I'm going to turn the floor over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. So next up, we have Dr. Liz Tyson. Liz is a doctor. She's a lawyer. She's an artist and a farmer.
Am I a farmer?
I feel like you're a farmer. You're a farmer of life.
That's ridiculous. Hi, Eric. How are you?
Good. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Although I feel like I am joining you in your world. So here we are again, guys. Liz Tyson. I'm going to share some interesting stories, hopefully. So, yeah. Liz, you know, I've got two kids who are adopted from orphanages in China. I can't help but see the parallel to the work that you do, but you've got, 400 kids that you're raising from all over the place.
Yeah, just
what is it like to live with that many people under your care?
It is, I mean, it's incredible. And I pinch myself that this is what I get to do with my life every day. You can see here, this video is running over our 56-acre enclosure, the largest of our enclosures on our 175-acre site. Our 430 plus monkeys live in these enclosures here that you see. The majority of them in these big open top spaces with beautiful foliage. Particularly now, anyone who's around Texas knows that we've had this kind of crazy weather of storm and sun and storm and sun. So it's greener than I've ever seen it right now. We have 144 monkeys who live in the 56-acre enclosure. And honestly, sometimes I wonder if they even know that they're in captivity, and because they just have so much space to roam. They really are as close to free as they can be. Our monkeys come from, as you say, they're kind of adoptees. They come from the pet trade, they come from laboratories, they come from zoos where they haven't been cared for and they've suffered trauma. And then when they get to us, we do our absolute best to give them the best life possible with us.
So amazing. So what's a normal day look like for you at the sanctuary?
Oh, goodness. There's no such thing as a normal day. We start at 7 and we hope it's going to be a normal day, and you never know what's going to happen because there's 430 monkeys. But we start this incredible team who you see here. We're so lucky to have them. Our great vet team, our caregiver team, our maintenance team, all working together. We prepare any monkey medications that are required in the morning and get them out to whoever needs it. There's cleaning, there's kind of just making sure everything runs smoothly, and most importantly, ensuring all the individual animals are doing okay and that their individual needs are met. But working with animals, anything could happen. There may be a medical emergency, so our vet may have to rush someone into the clinic and deal with that. There may be maintenance tasks to do. There's all sorts of things that can happen in a day. And I'm just really grateful that we just have this team who always steps up and always meets every single challenge as it comes.
It's so good. It's so good that you're able to get these people to join in this work, because it's not a glamorous life.
It is not. It is not. And we have, you know, and there's one thing I am really proud of our team. They give their absolute utmost for not just for the monkeys, but also for each other. There's a real sense of everyone having each other's back and, you know, really looking out for one another. And I think a really great example of that was, again, those of you not in Texas, you probably heard that there was this kind of catastrophic failure of the infrastructure in February. It had devastating impact for livelihoods and people across the state. And at the sanctuary, we lost power, we lost water, and it was below freezing, which is obviously a really dangerous situation when you have so many animals that you're responsible for. And our team were just amazing. You know, I'd like to say they did it all with a smile on their face. I think by the end of it, it was just grimacing and teeth chattering. But, you know, they were out from 6 in the morning through to when it went dark, making sure the animals were warm, they were fed, they had absolutely everything they needed. And then they were going back to their accommodation on site with no light, with no water, with no heat, with no way of cooking dinner. And then they'd show up the next day and they just power through, and they always have the monkeys' backs. They always have each other's backs. I'm just very, very grateful for the team that we have. And of course, the wider part of our team is our donors, because there's absolutely no way we can do anything without the support of the incredible people like everybody here today. So just very grateful.
You know, to give you some context, the rest of you who are not in Texas, how cold it was here. It was colder in my kitchen than it was inside the refrigerator. So to keep our food preserved, we took it out of the fridge and just put it on the counter. That's how cold it was in Texas.
It really was. The infrastructure isn't built for it here, unfortunately.
There are some other priorities going on. So last year was kind of weird.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
It wasn't a normal year in so many ways. And surely that had an impact on your operations and how you worked. What can you share with us about that, so we understand, you know, when we make our choices of level of giving, what are we filling in for here that took place?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, first of all, last year was just, I think the word unprecedented has been thrown around so much in the last 18 months, but it really was, wasn't it? And we're still in it. And my heart goes out to anybody who has suffered loss during this time, because it's devastated families and livelihoods around the world. We were once again very lucky that we had the support of our donors to see us through, but it was a real challenge. You know, one of the major things in relation to the pandemic that we had to be so on top of is that non-human primates are very closely related to us, so they can catch COVID-19. So if you imagine, while everyone's social distancing, we can't stop looking after the monkeys. So we had a group effectively of about 450 people, monkeys and humans, all of whom could pass and contract this virus if we weren't taking things absolutely seriously. So before any CDC guidelines came in, just as we started to understand how serious this might be, our biosecurity protocols, which are already very high because we have to take zoonotic disease risk seriously at all times, we had to really up those. It meant that we were spending a huge amount of money on masks and gloves and all of those things when the prices were skyrocketing. It meant that all of our staff, again, just stepping up and being the wonderful people they were, they tolerated, you know, serious lockdowns where, you know, the rest of the state were out and about, and our team was staying on site and not seeing their loved ones, not seeing their family, because they were so concerned about making sure the monkeys were protected. So yeah, and you know, we had to stockpile food because there were potentially food shortages. There was a lot of things that we had to think about to make sure that we had 430 mouths fed and well cared for during that time. And of course, prices spiked in all different areas, including in areas that perhaps we hadn't expected. So, you know, transport shortages and worker shortages means that materials for construction have gone through the roof. They are bonkers in comparison to the prices we saw last year. So we're still seeing these knock-on effects for the cost of the sanctuary, and I think we will do for some time.
So can we talk about some of the people in your care?
Yes, absolutely.
There's it's, you know, Ms. Wilkin, we spoke about Ms. Wilkin last time I was with you. Yeah. And, you know, she's got a special place in my heart. She kind of feels familiar to me. But maybe share with our guests a little bit about.
Of course. So Mrs. Wilkin, anyone who's basically heard me speak about the monkeys in the past 2 years will already know about Mrs. Wilkin, because I'm kind of obsessed with her. Now, Mrs. Wilkin, she passed away a couple of months ago. She came to us around 18 months ago from an awful roadside zoo. The whole place was shut down, and she was rehomed to us along with Anna, who you see here, her friend. Now, I say she passed away with a smile only because I cannot think of Mrs. Wilkin without just being in awe of her and inspired by her, and knowing that she lived life to the full while she was with us. She had the most difficult life. She was in her late 20s. We don't really know how old she was. She's kind of an unidentifiable species. We think she's probably a hybrid of a Japanese macaque and a rhesus macaque, but she doesn't look right. You can see in the photos. And that's because she wasn't allowed to develop properly. She had nutritional deficits because she won't have been fed the right diet as a baby. She will have been taken away from her mother way too young. And that had significant lifelong impacts for her. So every long bone in her body was curved. She had, when she came to us, she had a series of tumors. Some were benign, some were malignant. She had serious arthritis, and she wasn't receiving any veterinary care where she was. So she was probably in chronic pain until she received vet care for the first time when she came to us. Now, when we saw her health problems on paper from the organization who did the initial rescue, honestly, my main concern was that she wouldn't be able to make the journey. We didn't know if she would survive the journey to us. But she did. She did. And when she arrived, boy, did she prove us wrong in terms of what we were expecting, this kind of frail little old lady who we had to mollycoddle and worry about. But she was honestly one of the strongest, most feisty, knew what she wanted individuals I've ever met. And the reason that I can't help but smile when I think of her is because she's just one of those examples of animals who remind you that she spent 20-something years in this horrible, horrible place. And goodness me, did she make the most of her last 18 months. She was a joy, and everybody absolutely adored her. So eventually one of her tumors got significantly worse, and she was at the point where we believed she was beginning to suffer. So a couple of months ago, we helped her pass. We let Anna, her friend, see her after she'd passed, because monkeys, like humans, grieve. And we wanted to be sure that Anna didn't wonder where she'd gone. And yeah, it was a very sad loss, but it's one that leaves us great joy, having known Mrs. Wilkin, having that opportunity to give her that chance, even if it was just for 18 months.
I mean, look, and such a great teacher. I mean, look at her face, and look at her life force. I mean, what do we have to complain about?
Yeah.
You know? It's
she was amazing. She was really amazing.
Great teacher. So she had a bunkmate. She did. Anna.
Yeah, little Anna.
Tell us how Anna's doing.
She's doing okay. I won't sugarcoat it, because I think that does her a disservice, and I think it does a disservice to her long and lasting friendship with Mrs. Wilkin. She's struggling. She's unhappy, and she misses her friend at times, but we are working with her to socialize her with some other monkeys, and she's very slowly making new friends. That was a process we started before Mrs. Wilkin passed away, because we knew that she wouldn't be with us for much longer, and she's slowly getting there. But you know, Mrs. Wilkin was her best friend for life, so we need to give her time, and we need to be led by her about what she needs and what she wants at this time. But we hope, you know, next time you check in, we hope that Anna will be living stably with another social group, and she'll always miss a friend, but that's what we're working on with her right now.
Awesome. And if I remember correctly, they were just down the path from the baboons.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
those guys were getting figured out what is life in this space. And we were building new shelters for them. How are these guys doing?
They're doing great. So we've got Marlon, Violet, and Presley, father and 2 daughters. The 2 daughters are half sisters, came from the same zoo. Do you know what? They just settled in like that. They were there. They have an acre, of space. They have their kind of warm room, and they have their sort of covered enclosure. And just from day one, I think they had a little bit of trepidation because they had never, you see them running here, they'd never had space to run before. They'd certainly never had this kind of space. They didn't have space, they didn't have trees to climb or grass to forage, and they certainly didn't have neighbors. And as soon as they realized they had space to run, they ran everywhere, absolutely everywhere. A little bit, you know, when a toddler learns to run for the first time and they have to run everywhere because that's what they do now. That's kind of what it felt like. They just had this kind of sense of freedom. And they're making friends with their next door neighbors. They have great relationships with them. They're doing great. They're doing really well.
Awesome. And I heard you've got a new addition.
We have. Miss Kiki joined us 2 weeks ago. She was kept as a pet for 5 years. It was kind of last minute. We got a phone call one week and we were off to go and pick her up the next. She is very thin, very, very thin, quite shockingly thin, actually. She's anemic.
How big is she? Just to give us some context.
She's like, if she was sitting on her haunches, she'd be about the size of my head. No, slightly taller.
And how much does she weigh?
5.6 pounds.
And how much?
She's very underweight. She should be weighing at least 3 or 4 more pounds than that.
Okay.
So yeah, she's very underweight. She's also got, which is sad and interesting and far too common, is her blood test showed that she was suffering from chronic stress. And that isn't anything specific that's happened to her. That is literally the situation of living in isolation as a pet. And she wasn't abused. The people who had her loved her, but it's misguided. And regardless of the amount of love they had for her, she was still suffering. So she actually just finished her quarantine period. And so this week, or maybe early next week, she will begin to meet other vervets for the first time, which is really exciting, maybe a little bit nerve-wracking for her, but hopefully, again, next time we check in, Kiki will be living with friends and living her best life.
That was super cool. I look forward to meeting her. So do you have room for anyone else? I mean, you've got so many, and I know it's a lot of space.
Not really, but we're making space for 2 more because we just got contacted from 2 other people who need homes for monkeys who are being kept as pets, and we always try and do what we can. So we're taking 2 more former pet monkeys in the next month or so. So it's been a really busy time, but it's exciting. And obviously that's what we're here to do. That's our work. We're here to rescue these guys and give them a second chance. So I'm really delighted we're able to offer these homes to them.
Oh, it's so good. So good. So let's do this again soon, Liz, so you can tell us about these new guys and, new developments with the sanctuary.
For sure. Thanks, Eric.
Well, next up, we have an amazing young woman. Let me adjust my screen so I can see you well here. This is Kate GILMAN WILLIAMS. And it doesn't even make sense how successful and impactful she can be at this point in her life. You know, when I was a kid, my parents had me start playing the violin when I was 3 years old. And I remember my violin teacher telling me to hold the bow like a bunny rabbit. And I remember thinking, why are they talking to me like I'm a small person? I'm just small. Why are they talking down to me? Look, I'm here to learn to play the violin. So talk to me like a person learning to play the violin. I get a sense that, Kate, you're like that. Like you just came into the world full on making stuff happen. So, and because of that, you're an incredible inspiration for all of us, to step up and be the best that we can be. So tell us a little bit about you. Where are you? What are you doing? How did you get here?
So hi, my name is Kate GILMAN WILLIAMS. I'm 11 years old. I live in Austin, Texas, and my organization is kidscansaveanimals.com, and we believe that advocacy has no age limit.
And what inspired you to get involved with protecting animals?
So I went on my first safari when I was 7 years old.
Your
and
first safari?
Yes. So I went every year after that because I was so inspired and loved Africa so much. But my first time, I had a girl game driver. Her name was Michelle, and she taught me everything I know about animals. And she also told me that humans are killing animals, and that made me determined to do something to help. So I decided to write a book. And I asked Michelle if she'd be my co-author, and she said yes. And now we have our book, Let's Go on Safari. And 100% of the sales go to organizations that are helping to save animals, the Jane Goodall Institute, Global Wildlife Conservation, and the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust.
So how did you get published so young?
So I was on the radio with Ryan Seacrest. I hadn't found a publisher yet, and I told him that. And he announced that I needed a publisher, and somebody reached out to me, and there was this publisher that focused on kids and animals, and they told me about them, and I ended up signing with them. So that's how I got published for the first time. And then for the second time, Penguin Random House reached out, and then I ended up getting my book globally published with them.
So amazing. So did you go on tour?
Yes, I did. I went on tour to LA and New York, and we flew Michelle, my co-author, in, and we were spreading the word about my book, and it raised a lot of money. We raised around $15,000 for my conservation partners.
Holy cow. So you must have met some pretty interesting people along the way.
Yes, there are actually a lot of famous animal advocates that are like actors and singers, and I got to meet Ellen Pompeo, Chelsea Clinton, and they're also doing amazing things, and I got to tell them about my work. But I also met lots of kids and found out that all kids have a natural love for animals, and we just have to turn that love into advocacy, and all kids want to save animals. And I mean, when they learn that if we don't take action now, there won't be elephants in 10 years, it really pushes them into action. So I believe that advocacy has no age limit and kids can save animals.
It's so good. You know, it's like when we grow up, we forget that we are animals and that we're not really any different. And we start using our brains and do all these crazy things. But deep down, and, you know, in the beingness of us, we're all together in this. So after you published your book, you built a website, didn't you? Want to tell us about that?
Yes, so my website is kidscansaveanimals.com. You can go on there to buy my book and learn about some of the other projects I'm doing, like Club 15. And our mission at Kids Can Save Animals is to inspire and empower kids to mend our planet.
So you got involved somehow with Microsoft. You know, Microsoft has this interesting reputation. They've got one of the largest operating systems in the world and a tremendous footprint for the office worker. So how is it that you got involved with them to support your vision of what to do to fix things on this planet?
So I was on a COVID televised relief fundraiser, and Sarah Maston, she's the founder of Project 15 from Microsoft, she was playing her Project 15 video, and at the end of the video it said, join us and help save elephants. And I'm like, what about kids? Can kids be a part of Project 15? And she texted me back and she said yes. And then we ended up collaborating together and we created Club 15, where kids and teens can log on and they can watch me interview experts such as scientists, technologists, animal advocates, and they're sharing what they're doing to help save animals, and then they can learn how they can join them.
So then how did you get all of that work that you were started doing with Born Free USA and the Primate Sanctuary right here in Texas?
So Liz and her team from Born Free USA reached out to me, invited me to tour the sanctuary. And I mean, I had no idea that this sanctuary was so close to Austin. And
Crazy, right?
I know. I had no idea, but I'm so glad it was. It was great getting to see the sanctuary and getting to see over 400 monkeys. And it's so great how they're living free and getting a second chance at life.
So do you have a message for kids and teens who are interested in protecting the future of wild animals?
Never visit places that use animals for human entertainment. Speak up, use your voice. Even though we're young, we can still make a huge impact. And I mean, just pick an animal from the red list, learn as much as you can about it, and then teach everyone you know about how you can save it. That's how you become an animal advocate.
And why is it so important for your generation to be getting involved?
Because if my generation doesn't take action now to help save our planet, in 10 years there won't be any more elephants, because every 15 minutes an elephant is killed for its tusks, and every 8 hours a rhino is killed for its horn. And there are only 7,100 cheetah left on the planet.
I mean, just let that sink in, guys. This is it. Like, if it's not us, then who? So, you said you go on safari every year. What's coming up?
So I'm going to Africa for the first time in 2 years, because I haven't been able to go for COVID. But I'm going to be doing lots of conservation efforts this time. I'm going to be tagging a pangolin. I've never seen one before. They're extremely endangered. They're the most poached animal on the planet. But we're going to try to tag one to keep it safe. And also, I love cheetahs. On the front cover of my book. So we're also going to be doing some cheetah conservation. And I mean, I've actually been tracking an elephant. His name is Dex, and we're going to track him and get to meet him. So I'm really excited for this trip to Africa.
Excellent. Excellent. So one more question for you. We were playing a song when people were logging in, and it sure sounded like that was your voice.
So yes, there is a song. It's called Kids Can Save Animals. It just recently got launched. So Jen Hartman Luck, she interviewed me, and I told her about all my animal advocacy work, and she turned that into a song. So she sings about poaching and extinction, and she's making it, uplifting and encouraging. So yes, the song is called Kids Can Save Animals. You can download it on any streaming services, and also you can go to my website, kidscansaveanimals.com.
Excellent, excellent. So stick around to the end, and we'll play it again for everybody on the way out as you collect your goodie bags. So, Kate, thank you so much for being with us. It's amazingly inspiring to see your work. I mean, it just wakes me up. It makes me want to get out and do things. And so, thank you. Thank you for your work.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you again soon.
Okay.
Hi, I hope my internet is a little bit unstable, so I hope you can all hear me okay. Who's joining me now? FAIZEL.
Hey there.
Hi, can you hear me okay, FAIZEL? I'm a bit worried that my internet might drop out. Good. Well, my good, I mean, I don't even know how you follow that. We totally should have changed the schedule, because, I mean, I feel like we should all just go home now, because isn't Kate amazing? My goodness.
Yeah, it's hope for the future. That's what it was. It's just hope for the future. And just seeing kids like Kate involved is it fills me with so much happiness. And in my years of before I was a wildlife photographer working in conservation, I would actually teach conservation classes to kids, and just seeing how detached we have made children become from the natural world is scary and really sad. So when you see a young lady like Kate who's so attached to it, it really fills you with hope that things are in good hands.
Absolutely. Right. So those of you who do not know FAIZEL, we're absolutely delighted to have him join us. He is a celebrated wildlife photographer, conservationist, and also runs his own ecotourism business, carrying out photography safaris in various African countries. Now, we've only got a few minutes. I honestly could talk to FAIZEL for hours. So FAIZEL, let's dive in. I want to ask you, we talked a few days ago in the run up to this, and you've talked about your kind of ethos that you work by. You have this really, I think, very beautiful outlook on the way that you do your work, and it's about your responsibility as a photographer and how that ties into your advocacy. Can you talk to us a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, for sure. So, one thing I've noticed with a lot of photography and wildlife photography going on in the world right now, it's a really interesting thing. So more and more I'm seeing as a wildlife photographer, more incredible wildlife photographs, that it's just pushing the limit of how we can capture the beauty of nature. But with that, I'm noticing that there's a lot of in this industry, it's a lot of photographers that are just out there for this photograph, right? And it's kind of becoming, they themselves are becoming detached from the very thing that they photograph, and it's this unbelievable thing, and they becoming detached from conservation. And for me, the way I look at it is, when I'm out there photographing, whether it's a lion or hornbill or vervet monkey, whatever I'm photographing out there, that creature or that neighbor of mine is giving me this precious moment, this precious window into their world, all right? And all they're asking for in return is for me to be their voice. That's all that they're asking for. So how can I not be their voice? And it's so important that we spread this message, right? Of it's conservation at all costs at this point. And it's so important, and it's the message I think that we can never stop spreading, because just like Kate pointed out, an elephant dies all the time, being killed for ivory, famous elephants. And so when I think about it, there's lions that are dying, this is all these big animals that are dying, and people ask me about it, and they're like, well, what about the little animals? And the point I always make is that if we can't save a lion, and if we can't care enough to save a whale or an elephant, what hope do animals like frogs have, or little birds have? And that's the thing, that we have these umbrella iconic species that are vanishing from the face of the earth. And I spoke to a photographer friend of mine just the other day, and I was talking to him about giraffes, this iconic animal, and I was telling him that giraffes are vanishing across Africa. And he was like, what? I didn't know that. I photographed giraffes last year. And I was like, yeah, but that's the things that we've just become detached. And so for me, it's just, again, these amazing animals give me a window into their world. They share their home with me. And so there's such a small price in return, just to say, hey, I'll be your voice. And I think it's just so important that we all do that. I joke around and I say that I don't think everyone realizes it, but scientists are not going to save this planet. We need to, right? They can spread the message, but we need to save this planet.
And I think what you've touched on, other things we talked about is, one of the things, for example, that advocates of zoos will say is that, people can't care about animals if they don't see them. They need to see them in real life. And that's one of the main justifications that zoos use to keep animals in these completely often barren, completely unnatural city center zoos, because of this idea that we can't care about animals unless we see them. Now, obviously, as a wildlife photographer whose work is literally bringing images and stories of animals to the rest of the world, I know you've got a specific animal who you'd like to speak to us about. Can you tell us about Scar and how that all plays out for you?
Definitely. And it's, just something you touched on there. So I worked in all parts of the wildlife industry, right? I worked in all parts of it as a conservationist. At one point when I was younger, I felt, oh, zoos spread this great message, and people need to see animals. And then I worked at a zoo for a while, and I realized, oh my God, this is so far from how I love seeing animals. Seeing lions in these enclosures, it broke my heart. It broke my, and then I became the biggest advocate against zoos or any form of captivity that there is.
I'll fight you for that title, Faisal.
Yeah, but and so with my photography, one thing I try and spread the message of is not just photographing an animal, but photographing it in its environment, wild and free. And with that said, there's a story of a lion that a very famous lion. His name was Scar, and Scar. He passed away a week or 2 weeks ago. He passed away, and he was this lion that lived out in Kenya. And you know, he lived this incredible, incredible life. So for a lot of you who don't know, male lions live for about 9 years in the wild. Scar lived for 16 years and he ruled 4 prides in the Masai Mara. And he got his name from, he was in a skirmish with other lions when he was younger, and he lost his eyelid. And it never healed. It never healed. So you could see his entire eyeball, right? And instead of making him look like this ghastly creature, he ended up becoming this most magnificent, beautiful lion that I've ever seen, you know, because of that. And with it, so he lived this incredible life. I mean, he had to be saved by vets throughout his life because he got speared by when he was feeding on cattle, and that's a huge problem in Africa, you know, like cattle grazing on wildlands. But he lived this incredible life. And when he passed away 2 weeks ago, you know, someone messaged me and they asked me, like, you know, are you just so sad? And I said, no, I'm so happy, because he lived his whole life. He was born free, he lived free, and he died free. And he died in this quiet corner in Africa, in the Masai Mara. There were no other cars around. There were no tourist vehicles around. There were no hyenas, no other lions. It was just Scar. And you know, they buried him over there. And for me, it's the important work of conservationists around the world that allowed Scar to fulfill the life of a lion. And that's so important, right? And again, it filled me with so much happiness knowing that one moment in my life I got to meet Scar, you know. And I look at him that way, you know. I don't just look at this was a lion I went out and photographed. He is a lion I carry with me, like whenever I'm out in the wild. I think of Scar and just how he was so magnificent, because he was just free with all his battle wounds and his injuries and his old age. He was just free. And the ultimate difference, if you think of Scar, you know, compared to lions in captivity, Scar lived, and lions and other animals in captivity, they just exist. And that's such a big difference, right? So yeah, again, I can talk about Scar forever. He's just like such a special lion. But again, he was just this great advocate, right? And he sent this great message for people around the world who came to see him, that a lion alive in Africa is so great for the economy, for the people around him, and just for the way we feel being in his presence, you know. And that is the great thing. Even if people would come out and see Scar and not even get a photograph of him, he would be lying in the grass under a tree, but just that feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm here with this great lion that's free. It's just, again, it's so important, and it's something that we should always advocate for, just freedom for every being, right? It's a fundamental right.
Absolutely. Faisal, I wish we had more time. We're going to have to get you back for another. We're going to have to get you back for another event and talk more. We both are. So I think that's a really great point to lead into our next piece, talking about the individual and talking about how important freedom is, because we're really, really lucky that we have a short interview that we recorded before with the incomparable Virginia McKenna, our co-founder of Born Free and our inspiration. As Eric mentioned before, he is conducting the interview, but he's doing so as his alter ego. So you may notice he looks a little bit different.
Virginia.
Hello.
You?
Yes, it's me.
Oh my goodness. It's so amazing to be able to see you from all the way down here in the sanctuary.
Well, actually, you seem to be in the next room as far as I'm concerned, which is completely lovely.
Well, welcome to the sanctuary again.
Thank
it was
you.
Delightful to see you when you came down here before.
I shall never forget it.
My family is so thankful to you. How you know, we have so many monkeys here in the United States that you're caring for. What wouldn't you think maybe to consider changing the logo to be a monkey?
No, I don't think we can change the logo, because I would never go back on the animal that inspired us to start. Man was the inspiration for our beginning, but it doesn't mean to say I don't care about monkeys. I certainly do care about monkeys, and having been to the wonderful Primate Sanctuary, which Liz Tyson, as its director, is quite superb in the way she looks after them and with her team. I mean, they're like little humans. They have so many characteristics of human beings, don't they?
What do you remember about your visit down to see us?
I think what I remember, apart from visiting my little adopted one, I remember the incredible trust that the monkeys had in strangers. We walked round with Liz and a couple of other people, you know, who looked after the monkeys. I went with my son, Will, who is one of the founders of Born Free. And we just walked through this amazing land where they were just hopping about or resting or chatting to each other. And then I went and sat on a tree trunk near a little pond. I shall remember that always. And just along the other end of the tree trunk, there was one of the monkeys. He wasn't a bit scared of my sitting there. He just sat there and sort of looked at each other and not exactly had a chat, but it felt like it. And I thought, this is a magical place for monkeys. And my prayer above all else for this place is that the success of what is being done there with the rescued primates from captivity will encourage, will persuade, will engage in some way the government in the United States to ban the keeping of primates in captivity.
We so appreciate it. Now, we heard that you had a birthday recently.
Ah, okay, I can't deny it.
And my brothers and sisters and cousins here
Yes.
at the sanctuary asked me to sing happy birthday to you on behalf of all of us.
Oh.
Would that be all right?
Oh, yes, I think it would be wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Virginia. We sure do love you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
And I have some letters that were given to me from some other of your admirers here in the United States.
Oh, goodness.
Could I read a few of those to you?
Oh, my word, yes. Oh, yes.
Okay. Dear Virginia, wishing you a wonderful birthday. When I saw the movie Born Free, it opened up a new world for me about wildlife. Of course, started my love for lions and big cats. Thank you for educating the public and all you do to help animals. You are a true hero and living icon for the world of conservation.
Oh.
Thank you. Thank you for your many years of fighting for the right to be born free.
Oh, my word.
And there's one more.
Oh.
Thanks for your lifetime of caring, your dedication to wildlife and to their habitat is an inspiration. Long life.
Thank you all, these wonderful people who've written such kind things, and thank you for reading them. It means a lot to me. And you see, it says that anyone, if you feel strongly enough about something, you can do something about it if you feel it's terribly wrong. There is hope at the end of the tunnel, I'm absolutely sure.
It feels that way to me too.
Good.
So thank you so much for your time and for joining over this magical window into our sanctuary, and we can see into your beautiful home and your beautiful art.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me, Eric. I mean, I'm honored and touched that you wanted to talk to me. Thank you.
Okay, until next time.
Until next time.
Mm.
Bye.
That was wonderful, Eric.
It was so fun to do. And, you know, that is just a short compilation of the full interview. And we're going to be posting the full interview on the network. So stay tuned for that. You can get a great backstory of how Born Free was founded and, you know, what went into all of that, and some more stories and some more letters. Just more delightful Virginia. So we have had, here we are, we're close to the end here. Some really wonderful guests. It's so inspiring, and it really warms my heart. It just feels like a super summery gala. This is the way we do galas these days, isn't it? So, Angela, I wanted to ask you, CEO to CEO, you know, many people don't realize. They think CEO is the glamorous position, the top. You get to tell people what to do. But look, for those of you who don't know, it is not that. It's like the opposite. You know, the line level people are the superstars that get things done. And at the bottom is the CEO who's like a janitor, picking up all the balls that get dropped and seeing who's going to take care of it and make it happen. Am I right, Angela?
Oh, you see me, Eric.
So I'm not saying you're a janitor, but all of us who've been in that role, like, that is what we do. We set the vision and then we empower other people to make it come true. But I want to know what your vision is for the sanctuary.
Eric, my vision is that there isn't a sanctuary. And that is because if there isn't a need for our sanctuary or any other sanctuary for monkeys or other animals that need to be kept in captivity because of how they have been experimented on, used in entertainment, it would mean that those things had ended. So we are working to end the problems that make our sanctuary necessary. However, until that time comes, we will be confined to a life of misery or killed when they're no longer wanted. You know, every new animal that we accept is a huge commitment because we are there every day doing the things that Liz talked about, making the meds, cleaning, feeding, even in the depth of a winter storm, for the remainder of these animals' lives. And we're going to be there for every illness, for every winter storm, for every changing need that they have as they age. And to pay for the lifelong service to these animals, we completely rely on our committed donors, and they always step up for us. And in fact, you are our donors, you are our supporters here. And I'm looking at all of you that inspire me, that inspire our team, and allow us to fulfill the I'm going to call it the temporary vision of giving the best possible home and righting the wrongs, and hopefully the end vision, which is we no longer need our sanctuary.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that. Sorry, Liz, you'll be out of a job.
We'll find something else for her to do.
Stuff to do, don't worry.
I'm not worried. I think we've got a long road ahead of us. There's a lot to do, and it costs a lot. So that's why we're here. So if we could get back the screen that shows what some of the kind of the personal rewards that we can get, these small tokens that we have with us in our lives as we've contributed to supporting the success of the venture of Born for USA. So whatever level you are comfortable with, I challenge you to notch it up a little bit. Get on the edge of uncomfort, because these guys, they're all coming from seriously uncomfortable places. So what can we do to make that a little bit more workable? So we've got Kate's signed copy of Let's Go on Safari. We've got framed wildlife print from Liz. Liz, you want to tell us about these guys?
Sure. So the lion is, I say little lion, he was known as one of the cubs when I worked with him, but huge. He's called GILMAN, and he was kept as a pet in Ethiopia. He is currently living out his life under the care of Born Free Foundation's Ancestor Kote Sanctuary in Ethiopia. I was hugely privileged to work with him for a short time out there. And the elephant is taken from a photograph taken by Born Free Foundation's, or one of their patrons, Dan Richardson, in Meru National Park, which is also where Elsa was from. So there's a nice tie back to the origins of Born Free.
Awesome, awesome. And then we've got Kiki, our newest addition to the family. So delightful. And Prince from FAIZEL. FAIZEL, would you care to tell us a little bit about these guys?
Yeah, for sure. So the little elephant, and he was a little elephant. We came across him one early morning. He was with his mom in the Masai Mara in Kenya, home to Ska. And it's always fun seeing these little elephants because what a lot of people don't know is elephants don't know how to use their trunk. They're not born knowing how to use their trunks. So they're always just flailing around and making a fuss. And so he was a cute little guy that we photographed one morning. And it was just this picturesque morning with the mist coming in the back. And the tigress that you see on the right hand side, her name is actually Baris, which means 12. And she got her name because is very comfortable around wildlife photographers, and they always joke around in the reserve that she is in that you see her 12 months out of the year, and Baris means 12, so that's where she got her name from. But it was again one of those evenings where it was just spectacular. You see the golden light coming in, and we were parked on a distant road, and we heard these monkeys giving these alarm calls, and the guide I was with just said, "Oh, I think there's a tiger in the area." And we heard this rustle in the leaves, and she just came out. It was just the most beautiful thing ever. She just came out from this tree line, and to be able to photograph an animal where there's just so few left, it's a life-changing experience. So really special photographs too.
Well, thank you for donating. All of you guys, FAIZEL, Liz, Kate, thank you for donating these works of yours to this cause. And kind of the gold prize here is a trip to the sanctuary. And as you know, the sanctuary is a sanctuary because people can't go there. That's what makes it a safe place. But once in a while, we can open it up for visitors. And at a level of 5,000 or more, you can get a trip for two to the sanctuary and spend some time with the population and get to meet the people that do the amazing work. So here we are at time. There's a couple of ways to donate. You can go to bornfreeusa.org/gala, or you can text BFUSA to 44321. All right. Well, thank you all so much. It's been a delight to be with you, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
In the dust of the morning, in the mist of the dawn, you keep your eyes on the horizon, see the majesty before it's gone. In the splendor of the wild, in the wonder of it all, you keep your eyes on the horizon and find something beautiful. Too many lost by human greed, too many lost senselessly. You say there's a way to change it, you say there's a way to go, but you say it's up to to us all. You say kids can save animals. Let's go. Kids can save animals. Each day countless are dying. Every hour there's one less more. So you keep your eyes on the horizon, 'cause you know what you're fighting for. Yeah. You say there's a way to change it. You say there's a ways to go, but you say it's up to us all. You say kids can save animals. Let's go. Kids can save animals. It's hard to breathe.
Every 15 minutes, an elephant is killed for its tusks.
When you start to think
There are only 2 northern white rhinos left on the planet.
about these innocent beings,
Animals can't speak for themselves, but we can be their voice.
now they're almost extinct.
Kids can save animals.
There's a way we can change it. You say there's a ways to go, but you say it's up to us all. You say kids can save animals. You say there's a way to change it. You say there's a way to go. Just say it's up to us all. Kids can save animals. Kids can save animals. Kids can save animals.
Advocacy has no age limit.